Okay, so I'm going to start off this video with a description of a loan that at best has been delayed from closing, may end up not closing. And then after I go over the scenario, I'll make the point to you about the problem for new MLOs going to work for a mortgage broker. This particular loan officer had a file. The borrower was on maternity leave, and without getting 100% into the weeds about the guidelines around folks being able to use the pay they receive on maternity leave, I will give you a general idea of what is going to be looked at. The maternity leave pay can be looked at along with any other income the borrower may have. The rule is you can't have more income. You can't get more income between the maternity leave and your other income than you would have at the regular job. The individual and the company need to both be clear as to the date that the borrower will be going back to work after maternity leave. It has to be clear the position is available. There is, in general, the opportunity to use savings to supplement the pay that's worth or that's received on maternity. So if we've got $5,000 a month in regular pay and we're getting $3,000 a month on maternity leave, there are situations where now you can supplement $2,000 a month from savings over the time period that the leave is going to take place to still be able to qualify with $5,000. Now, of course, you have to remove those assets from the qualifying assets. So if you're going to have a 3-month maternity leave, $2,000 a month supplement, you have to reduce the qualifying assets by $6,000. And the reason that this loan went sideways is because the woman was having a difficult pregnancy. And she therefore needed more time out of work than the paid maternity leave allowed for. And so at the present time, she was out of work, not receiving pay. The pay was going to start the day the first payment on the mortgage was due. So give or take a month after closing, the day the first payment was due is when the maternity leave pay was going to kick in. And this loan officer did a good job in terms of recognizing that there might be an issue, that the pay hadn't started yet, or the pay was not going to start before closing, and had contacted their account executive at the lender to run the scenario by. The account executive came back to the loan officer and said it would be fine with the pay starting the same day the first payment was due. Well, then the whole file is submitted. The appraisal's done. The customer is expecting to be moving. The seller is expecting there's a closing. The realtor is expecting there's a closing. Then all of a sudden it comes out the lender is not going to accept the fact that the pay is not going to be starting before closing. And this circles me around to the number one reason the new MLO, and when I say new MLO, I'm talking about folks from, say, the time you've passed your exam and you're looking for your first job until you've closed about 30 loans, 20 loans maybe, depending on how quickly you catch on to guidelines. And even then you're at risk. But in the beginning phases, you're more at risk because you haven't yet been able to determine which account executive you can count on. Remember, account executives, they're salespeople. You're a salesperson. You have confidence, or maybe you're faking it till you make it, but you come across as confident. and friendly and likable to realtors, to other referral partners, to consumers, the same way that the account executive comes across to you. So it's going to take you a while to learn which account executives you can really count on. And they're few and far between. They've always been few and far between. Now, I know there are benefits to going to the broker. There are more programs. In many cases, there are lower rates. But imagine that you've been working like a dog, trying to get producing realtors to refer a loan to you, and you finally get one. Maybe the realtor tried this scenario somewhere else and was told no. So they're now giving you a shot at the tougher deal. Now everything is fine. I checked with the account executive. And then this deal, at best, it's not determined yet if it's going to be able to wait a month to close. If it can, it may still close, or it may blow up. And think about what that's going to do to you and your reputation in the real estate community. It's one thing if you have an occasional mistake, you're well established. You're closing 5, 8, 10 loans a month. Nobody wants a mistake. But think when you've been working so hard to finally get a deal referral and it blows up on you. Now, the advantage when you're not working for a broker is if you're working in maybe a credit union or a retail lender, sometimes a bank, depository bank, you can have your underwriter right there in the office with you. And then you can go to the underwriter face to face, and you're getting it directly from the person who is going to sign off on the loan. You don't have that extra layer of communication between the account executive and who they spoke to. Did they speak to the underwriter? Did they speak to the operations manager? Did they speak to one of their fellow account executives who told them everything will be fine? The advantage of going to work where you have an underwriter in your office, where you're allowed some direct face time when you have a loan coming in, the benefit of that cannot be overstated enough. That goes along with the benefit of being able to work in a physical office where people are coming into work every day and you're able to absorb knowledge from those folks. Now, there are some broker situations are okay. If you've got somebody there really watching you, watching your every move. So many new loan officers are promised support that they don't get. And it's not easy to have to switch. So be really careful when you make that first move. If you choose wrong and you find out the support isn't there, or you find out that the account executives maybe aren't as careful as you would like, and you'd end up now you have to move. Well, if you've got loans in process, now you have to read your agreement you signed with the company to see if you're going to get paid on them or not. And if you have to stay to try to close what you've got until you get paid, well, then you're going to have a period where you can't be working on new loans because once you start them, you can't take them with you, or it's going to be in that very difficult in-between period where you're sort of trying to start them at the new place under somebody else's license, which I do see that as well. But bottom line is the most important characteristic of wherever you go to work is that you need certainty on your scenarios. Whether that means someone's watching you every step of the way in the office, or you have access to the underwriter directly, or maybe even if you go to work for a broker and somebody there says, look, this account executive, their word is their bond. They tell you that something's going to happen, it's going to happen. But that's rare. So I am going to tell you a little bit about the services that I offer at the Complete 1003 software. We have the availability for you to make a supplemental application to make sure you've asked all the right questions each time you talk to a borrower. We have another version of the software that has the same questions but discusses the guidelines and points out all the traps, the deal killers, and the deal savers. So this will be a deal killer. You went and tried to rely on using maternity leave income that hasn't started by the closing. If you go and look in the agency guidelines, it never comes out any place and explicitly says it. Hey, it has to have started. So the loan officer, who is a little more experienced, was smart to catch the issue. If you're newer and nobody is looking over your shoulder, will you even think to ask? So you might have support available, but if you don't think to ask about the problem, that's when you can really fall off the cliff. Seemed okay to you. The guideline says you can use the income when it comes in. Maybe they had plenty of savings. You saw you could use savings to supplement. You were going to use savings the first month to supplement and then pick up. But without the maternity income having started, the lender wasn't going to let you use it at all. So if you'd like to talk to me, my email is Alan, ALAN, at complete1003.com. You can learn more about my program at complete1003.com. And I like talking to new mortgage professionals. I also like talking to broker owners, managers, owners of IMBs, credit union managers, executives. Same thing with depository banks. It's all the same process. So I'm happy to have a low-key discussion with anyone and see if I can help you out on the call, especially if you're a newer person or you're a manager, owner, you want to bring newer people on the call with you. You can look at the software, can try to answer any questions about any scenarios you might have going on at the moment, can point out in the software where the solution is found. Look forward to talking to you if you're interested.